Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to That Flavor in Your Ear podcast, season 2, episode 3. I'm here with your boy, Too Nice.
Yes.
All right.
And it's 10:30 in the morning.
Listen, I already made the introduction, so we're going to keep it that way. I'm nervous, man. We got people in the background, never shot like that before, but I'm feeling good because I've been waiting a long time for this podcast. This energy that we've been missing from the podcast. We get a lot of people here with a lot of different stories, but I feel like your story, it comes with an energy that is unmatched.
Oh man, thank you.
So I've been really excited and really looking forward to hearing this story. And like I said, we always start, it's a motivational podcast. So
yeah.
We hope that your story inspires someone that wants to do, you're a jack of all trades. You do a lot of different things.
Wow.
So we're hoping that it inspires someone that is in between one of those trades, or maybe isn't all of them, right? Because a creator is a creator, and you're a person that seems like you create a lot of things, right? And there's positive to that. I don't have any of what you have.
But you got a lot of magic.
But I admire it.
Yes.
Right, and we hope someone out there that sees what you do and is inspired. And you need to follow him on Instagram, because if you get on there like at 7 in the morning, this guy's already on like 3 cups of coffee.
Yes.
He'll wake you up already.
No, just one, because if I take 3, I'll probably jump out the balcony.
Yeah, I don't want to see you with 3, bro. One seems like your energy.
Well, you don't want to see me with 3 coffees, but you want to see me with 3 whiskeys.
With the whiskeys, yeah.
Ay, 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 ay. Dios mío.
Okay, so I was told by a close friend of the show that was on the show, Sofla. Okay. He said we need to start, that your story should start somewhere in the Baja Panty area.
Baja Panty, wow.
That's where we should start. If it doesn't start there, it's not going to be a good show.
Well, then let's start right there then.
Let's start right there.
Baja Panty, well, we'll transition into Baja Panty, but what led to Baja Panty was my great brother, mentor that's right here, right now.
Look at those cameras, bro.
Plátano in the building, you know what I mean? It started as a hype man, started as, just coming to these parties. Actually, shouts out to my brother, shouts out to Thomas, shouts out to Calero, shouts out to all my older brothers' friends that would sneak me out of the house.
Yep.
To go to these parties.
So if I did say you were the youngest.
Yeah, I was the youngest one in the party. Only one admitted in the party.
Right.
Like, how is this little guy inside and we're still in line?
Yeah.
But thanks to the conglomerate from back in the day, but they would sneak me out my house, man, to go battle, to go dance. It started also as a hype man, like I was saying with Plátano. And he would have a little segment for me in his show set where I would just come and shake my legs and do this thing like that. You can't see it because there's a little big table right here.
Table.
But I would go and shake my legs like that, and the people would go crazy. And that was like the introduction to like that entertainment world where, I don't know, back in high school, I would be at all the pep rallies. I would be friends with all the basketball players. I would be painting on shirts, on garments back in high school. So I would have, that thing going on, and then out of nowhere, it just kept going and going and going and going. So Baja Panty was like almost like the beginning stages of like the entertainment world for me, and seeing what it's like to be in front of the crowd, seeing what it's like in front of performing.
Yeah.
And
that's a special gift, bro.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
I guess.
Because it comes natural.
To me, it comes natural. Yeah. So I don't really see the majority of the things that I do like that, because it's natural. I just do it. Yeah. But I've gotten that too, one thing too. Shouts out to Mike too. Can't forget about Mike. That's, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Mike has your collabo from the 99 and 2000. He's big. He's a big part of that too, the Baja Panty movement. And man, I would say like it was just the stepping grounds. Those are the first beginning steps of me being able to see and endure what the entertainment world was all about. Right. So that's where it is. That's where that was, Baja Panty. You know what I mean? What else? Platinum, you tell me return. So that's how the flat right there. Remind me right quick.
I was told you was like the Chris Brown of the parties. The Chris Brown of Miami parties. At least in Miami. This is a small circle here.
I was the only Miami guy doing Harlem Shakes. Right. Doing the Harlem Shake in here. Shouts out to Pitt too. Pitt would tell me all the time. It was like back in those days, like, look, man, I know you got it. I know you from the Bronx. I know you from New York. Yeah. But over here in Miami, we do the peanut butter and jelly. You need to learn how to do the peanut butter and jelly. And sure enough, man, I did the peanut butter. I learned how to do the peanut butter and jelly. I did maybe like 1 or 2 shows with Pitt back in the day. Oh yeah, mommy.
Back in the day.
I say it in the Only in Date song. Sneaking me out back when Pitt had braids. And a lot of people don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day where Pitt had braids, white tees down to his knees.
I remember that.
You know what I mean? And he was like, yo, you need to learn how to do the peanut butter and jelly. Sure enough, learn how to do the peanut butter and jelly.
Because I think by the time Around Here came out, he was already low fade.
He cut his hair once he made that transition to like the pop music type of vibe, and then the suits and all of that.
And shout out to Pitbull.
Right?
I met him when I worked at Foot Locker. He came in there with his son, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
That was Dayland, Foot Locker and Dayland. Came in there, was super nice to everybody. No complaints.
Always been.
Was very nice to everybody. Very humble. Didn't act like a celebrity. You know, hey, my man, can I get these in a size? Very calm. Like everybody that came up to him that day, he said nice, very nice to. Was a man of the people. You can tell. Wasn't bothered.
And he's always been down to earth like that. He's always been real cool. And that's where it all started, man. I feel like that's where it all started when I got to tour with Plátano, when I got to travel the world, when I got to be in front of and build that character and build that confidence on the stage. And it's like what we were talking about before the show. Like like these traits and these things grow with consistency with doing it all the time. You know, if you don't do it all the time, you're going to get rusty. You're going to miss those free throws. You're going to miss, you know, those moments, you know what I mean? So in doing it all the time and being able to travel, being able to be in front of the crowd, being able to like just do it, you know what I mean? There is no ifs, ands, or buts. We can't turn back. I'm not going to show up to the show and be like,
okay, and I wanted to get to that.
I can't perform right now.
I wanted to get to that because I feel your main staple coming up was as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Right? So how was that first show like? Were you like me right now looking at all these people all nervous?
I mean, thinking about it, I'm not going to remember if I was, but I will say that I was just because it's part of the process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's just going to wake up one day and be like, I could do this. You know what I mean? The first time is always going to have that hurdle, and that first time, you know, talking about the views and all of that stuff. Like, I felt like there was one thing that I learned from the beginning stages of being in the entertainment business is whether it's 10 or 10,000, like you always got to give your all.
The same energy.
Right? Yeah, the same energy. So I learned that early. You know what I'm saying? So when it was time for me to even be my own artist or be my own, you know, entity and my own brand, like I knew that if I approach a situation where it's not going to be like what I envision, but I still got to perform like if it's what I envision because it's part of the process.
Right.
So was I nervous? I'm pretty sure I was, but you know,
once it started, you let it rip.
You didn't feel it. Yeah. You didn't see it. I see that.
You see that?
Yeah, this guy's natural right
now.
Now.
Once it starts, you let it rip. Let's talk about the Only in Dade soundtrack, the one that represents Dade County.
God.
The one that's notorious known around Dade County and all around. It should be known all around the world because Dade County is its own special place, right? I always tell people like, "Oh, you're from Florida." No, I'm from Miami.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a whole different place, bro. When people say you're from Florida, like, no, I'm from Miami, bro. Florida is like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
When you cross that Broward County line, everything changes after that. Like, let's say West Palm Beach. When you cross that everything from West Palm Beach down is a whole different. It's like its own state.
I mean, I won't take the full, you know, credit on that. I would definitely have to say shouts out to Solo D, which is the writer and composer that created the record.
Okay.
I was just the alley-oop.
You were the voice.
Yeah, the alley-oop. Not the voice. I don't know. Look, he had the song done. They said, look, I got this song done already. I said, it was crazy meeting too because we went into the meeting to talk about something that had nothing to do with that. And, you know, shouts out to Only in Dade. They presented the song, and I was like, why don't I just jump on it? You know?
If you don't want to take the credit for the voice thing, I will give you the credit for the voice thing because it sounds like a full Miami track.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like an Only in Dade track, and that it represents what Dade is, right? And your voice fits the track perfectly.
Oh, thank you, man.
Right?
I feel like there's where the fusion was.
Exactly.
But Solo D created the record. I just was able to enhance the record, and then based on the movement that we have going on, elevate it and get it to, you know, the things that we were able to do.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I have said it enough. So right now, flavor to your ear. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Solo D. He was the one that did that record. I was just able to enhance it.
He did the beat too?
No, he didn't do. His boy did the beat.
Okay.
The original beat. DJ Chris.
Oh, so there was another beat?
Yeah. Okay. DJ Chris. Shouts out to DJ Chris. He was the one that enhanced the original beat to be the final beat that was able to be put out to the public.
What was the tweak from the original? Like, was it much different, or like it needed extra oomph?
No, it just needed that Latin flavor that we added to it by adding Too Nice to the record. So in being able to get into the studio with Chris and being able to add the salsa in the beginning, the thinking,
agreed.
And then taking it off from there, and then plus we added some voices throughout the hooks. But we was just able to add that to it. And man, they took it and they rocked out with it, and it's definitely like an anthem.
And this is why I'm gonna give you the credit for the voice thing, right? And why, at least for me. So Solo D, don't be mad at me because I'm influencing this hard. But the reason why I say that is because Alchemist has like a quote where he says, you know, an MC without a voice, you're just a writer, right? A voice needs to be a voice needs to be attached to that artist. Right? Sometimes the artist, maybe the lyrics aren't that great, but he has that voice that sells the track. That's what you have. So somebody wrote that track, produced that track, made that track, but your voice speaks for Miami. Right? That voice speaks for us.
Thank you.
Because that's a voice of Miami.
Yeah.
That sound is like that only and then you go into that's a Miami sound.
Yeah.
So there aren't many people that can replicate that. So if you hear the song in Cali and someone from Cali says, hey, that's a representation of Miami. That's a Miami voice. That's a Miami style. That's a flavor of Miami. So for me, I give you that credit.
Thank you.
I understand what you're doing.
No, it's love.
But for me, the love behind that is saying I understand that why that track is so good and why it represents us so well is primarily because of the voice. The lyrics obviously represent something. The person that wrote that represents Miami, but the voice puts it together. And that's why I say like that quote from Alchemist makes sense. Because he's saying, you know, like you can be a lyrical, you can write down anything on pen and pad. But if you get into the studio and your voice doesn't sell that, you're just a writer. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the attachment of a voice is what's important. Right? And I completely agree with that.
Nah, thank you, bro. And it did what it did, and we was able to do what we was able to do. Like I said, like it was an alley-oop. You know, he threw it off the backboard, and I was just able to just get it and finish it and add that funk. And then at the same time, like we had a lot of movement going on. We had, you know, Yuli Monster already part of the squad. We already had, you know, I feel like the only in Daytime was it after the 3-second knockout or was it before?
That was before.
It was before the 3-second knockout. So it was like the past 4 or 5 years for me has been. It's been like an uphill progress, right? Where I've been able to also manage and go through speed bumps and go through learning lessons, but mentally being able to be in that space where it's like we're learning through everything that happens, right? Yeah. So and then accountability was another thing that I've been able to learn for myself too. Is like everything's my fault, right? And whether it's good or whether it's bad, you know.
Yeah.
Because if I take accountability, I can only fix it from that moment on.
From your standpoint,
yeah. I can only fix it. I'm not going to continue to put the blame on somebody else when I can just, you know, find a solution to why that happened. Right. So at the same time, we had that going on. We were growing. Yuli was fighting. And it was just been a big movement. And then when Only Date happened, it was like almost like, this is it. And then after that, COVID happened.